Okay, so I'm also an architect. I've probably got 30 years of experience behind me. And I am passionate about BIM, and our role as a BIM consultant is to really resolve all the issues that Victor raised. So all the problems Victor raised are all solvable. There are ways to do everything that needs to be done as long as you have a plan in place to do it. And as both Victor and Sunny have mentioned, it's that planning. It's what is the process that you're going to follow to enable us to actually do this. I'm going to take a slight side trip here and just ask how many people in this room actually have a mobile device of some description or the other. Okay, so if you need to look up a contact, because you don't know somebody's phone number, presumably you go to your contacts, you start typing in the first name or the last name, and the software will provide a reducing list as you type more and more letters. You then find the one you want and you select it, and everything you know about that particular contact is associated with that name. You can have email addresses, fax numbers, direct lines, mobile, you could have you could have photographs, you could have personal addresses, business addresses, any number of criteria you want is added there. And if you want to phone them, you press the number and the mobile will phone that number for you. And it's done. You probably also use it to go online and to search for information, whether it's to go to Google Maps or to go to Internet Explorer or Safari or something else to find information. So congratulations, you all actually have the skill set required to access the data that is inherent in these BIM models. You don't have the skill set required to operate the base software, but you do have the skill set to get at that data and use the data that can be extracted from these models. How many of you actually still go and find that phone book and remember your A to Z's and think, where the hell does R come? You know, is it before S or after? And then look down and find the number. And then you get a name, an address, and you might have a phone number and a fax. And you have to press it in to your phone. Does anybody still do that? One person. I might have known you would do that. This is what you are getting at the end of a construction project. You are getting the equivalent of a phone book. You don't get it the day of handover. You get it 6 to 9 months later, which in my opinion is utterly ridiculous. It's obsolete practice, totally obsolete practice when we look at where we are digitally today. We use digital music, we download it, we store it on our phones, we're probably on Netflix or on iTunes. It's all digital and you use it. You don't end up with actually anything physical in your hand at the end of the day, but you can access it all. It's all backed up, it's in the cloud, and away you go. So you have the ability now to pull the information out of these models into a sort of simple interface about that environment is available. Damage any of it. So if I'm sitting in this room and I want to know what the floor is, I don't need to go to a facility plan room, try and find a set of plans, flip through the set of plans to find a room number so that I can then go to a schedule to see what was the finish in that room, to find, okay, it's WF1. Well, what's WF1? I don't know. So now I have to go to the manuals and find the shop drawings. And I find the shop drawings and they'll tell me what it is. But I don't know what the area is. And I'm not allowed to scale off the drawings because the drawings say, do not scale. And now I've wasted how much time? They say that 30% of people on the facility, maintenance and operations side is spent trying to access information. And paper is no longer an efficient means of us accessing this information. So this information can be in 2D or it can be 3D. It can be colored to suit whatever your purposes are. You take the data that matters for you. On your mobile phone, you don't have the whole of the lower mainland telephone directory. You have those phone numbers that you need for your purposes. And if you need to have extra, you go and get another one and you load it up and you enter it. It's the same with the data from BIM. What do you need? The information the design consultants create is to enable the contractors to build the building. It's not the information facilities maintenance and operation needs to run the building. Some of it is the same, but use that information, repurpose it to create the views that you need, not that the design side has created. you can attach, I don't know how to go back, but you can attach any information to any object within the BIM database. So, sorry, oh, thank you. So I can attach a video which tells you how to maintain that particular object. You can attach all the shop drawings, you can attach warranties, you can attach Word documents, Excel documents, you can attach whatever you want to that particular object. You can colour it to see whether or not it's got a warranty on it or it hasn't got a warranty on it. All that information is easily done. The trick is who is responsible for doing it. No easy way to track it currently. And you've got then the facility management handover, which is crazy. So this is a study done of 258 projects across 20 nations. It was done by some QSs in Australia, and they found that 90% of projects had cost overruns. The average cost overrun was 28%, which is quite horrendous, and that 57% of the projects had extensions in time. Well, if you've gone over budget, you've probably gone over time, because those two are just so closely tied together. But that's the reality, and as Victor mentioned, I've got slightly different figures, but design is typically 2%, and those actual dollar signs are proportional to each other. So construction's around 18%, maintenance and operations 80%. So if I'm looking at what is my value proposition that I want to take forward, where is it best for me to invest my money so that I'm going to reduce those statistics that I just showed you? And I'm best investing it in design. If I double from 2% to 4% in design, but I can knock 30% off my costs of actually running the building, is that a good value proposition or isn't it a good value proposition? Design now with these BIM models has the capability of testing this building as a digital prototype in the same way they do within the manufacturing industry to understand how it's going to perform. And as Sunny said, you don't make a decision until you know what the thing is going to be. Once you've made the decision because you've tested it, then you make it solid, and then you can move forward. And you need, in the same way you do in the manufacturing industry, the people who are going to make the actual product, as well as the people who are going to want to use it, are part of the process. Facilities must be part of this process because you have knowledge that often the capital side does not have. You know how buildings run, you know what works, what doesn't work. That needs to be part of this process. So study results that have actually used a BIM process, not a piece of BIM-enabled software, but the actual BIM process, have found there's a 40% elimination of unbudgeted changes. So that means your change orders have now just dropped by 40%. There's a 33% reduction in the overall cost and the lifetime of the building. So there's your saving. 2% extra up front, and I'm going to save 33% through maintenance and operations during the lifetime of the building. 44 to 59% increase in the overall project quality. You've got rid of all the change orders. Your building is performing in the way that it's meant to. You haven't had the rework. The ceilings haven't dropped because the duct had to come down and the light didn't fit. Now it's all dropped and altered. And you've got 34 to 40% better performing overall in the infrastructure. Now these figures have come from a variety of sources. Some is from a cabinet paper done for the UK government, some is from Stanford University that did 32 studies of BIM projects, and some is from a recent article written in the Directions magazine. So what is BIM? At the bottom of the line here, BIM is a process, not a piece of software. And it's a series of actions or steps taken in to achieve a particular end. So you need to consider the end at the beginning. What is it that you need the data to be capable of doing when you get it at the end of the day? And that drives your requirements into the front end and into what you want the designers to do. That needs to go into your RFP. What is it those requirements are? You cannot ask for BIM. BIM is the equivalent of saying, I want a building. It has no meaning. It is so general that you are going to get nothing. The other thing you have to consider is the number of different firms that are actually involved in a construction project, from the start of capital planning, through design, through construction, and on into facilities, maintenance and operation, there's probably upwards of 60 different individual firms that all have their own way of working, their own software and their own processes, and you have to knit those together, or otherwise you just end up with the Tower of Babel. So at the end of the day, what you need is you've got to have people in place that can help you manage this process from start to finish. And that's really where we come in, which is a bit self-serving, but you've got to map out what you want to do and how you're going to actually do it. And I think you take